Today, we're reviewing Dungeons of Eternity, which has just been released for Quest. We'll tell you all about the game, we'll cover its basic gameplay, its player customizability options, how much content it's shipping with, its graphics and overall presentation, and, as usual, we'll end with a score. So, hang around and let's see how this dungeon crawler fares on our favorite standalone VR platform. I have to give props where props are due. Timeless Dungeons puts up a great front. The presentation is well polished and sports an intriguing mix of science fiction and fantasy elements, from the opulent design of the map room where adventurers plot their next course, to the welcoming embrace of a lounge, allowing for tranquil moments in front of a fireplace with your companions. Dungeons of Time was clearly crafted with great attention to detail. In a genre oversaturated with hastily assembled entrants, Othergate beckons players with a promise of a unique, ever-evolving adventure where fantasy comes wrapped up in a sci-fi cloak, holding within it the potential to redefine the VR dungeon crawler. The backbone of any great dungeon crawler lies in its gameplay mechanics, and here Dungeons of Calamities does not disappoint, offering players the opportunity to craft personalized avatars along with an expansive range of loadouts and power-up perks. A standout feature is undoubtedly the game's melee combat system. Caverns of Dread does very well here, steering clear of the pitfalls that have ensnared other titles such as Everslot Invasion. Interactions with physical objects feel convincingly real, and parrying attacks actually work. Although the game allows several playstyles, you can use melee weapons, ranged weapons, and magic. My experience was that you only really get melee weapons and a bow at the start of the game. You'll have to do some grinding to get magical powers, or magical weapons. This is a curious game design choice since it means that new players to the game can't really go into the dungeons with a wide range of classes. In fact, there are no classes per se. You are what you do, essentially, and at least at the start, you can't be a mage. The game can be played single player, but if you're looking to fulfill its unbroken promise, that of essentially playing Gauntlet with friends in VR, you'll want to play it in multiplayer, where the stakes are higher, the enemies more numerous, and the fun multiplied by the presence of others whose company you enjoy. There are 3 different quest types: Dungeon Raid, where you have to traverse a dungeon to find, power up, and retrieve a drone that's been lost; Crystal Hunt, which has you in a pyramidal structure hunting for free crystals that'll power up a smaller pyramid at its center, giving you points you can use to buy perks; and Soul Harvest, which is essentially a horde mode and, to be honest, the least entertaining mode of the bunch. At launch, the Chambers of Infinity offers 12 dungeons, not counting the tutorial, that are divided into different areas or themes. Although this gives some variety to the proceedings, a couple of the areas are similar enough that they don't really feel fresh. Despite the generic dungeons and creatures that are on offer once you get past the sci-fi framing of the game, Dungeons of Dread is a really good-looking game by Quest standards. The graphics are atmospheric with real-time lighting, some nice particle effects, and good textures. The overall look of the game is very good, and the enemies, although they remain mostly generic, are well designed and well rendered if lacking in variety. The game also already comes out of the gate with quest-free enhancements built in. There's a toggle in the settings menu that allows you to switch it to quest-free mode, where the graphics get better, of course, at the cost of extra processing. You can switch it on when you're playing it on Quest too, but then things are going to get sluggish. The audio in Eternal Dungeons is good, if unremarkable. Suitable music comes up sometimes that helps enhance the atmosphere, but the real star in the audio department is the sound effects for the weapons, the clangs of steel against steel, and the spatial audio that helps you turn around in time to attack or defend yourself against an enemy coming at you from behind. It works, and it works well. Okay, so, good graphics, great physics, decent combat, and a great opportunity to go dungeon crawling with your friends. What can go wrong? Well, as mentioned previously, there are only 3 game modes, and one of them is a dreadfully boring horde mode that I can't imagine many players would enjoy. Another issue is the lack of character classes, although this might initially seem okay since you can increasingly customize your character and their loadouts and perks as you unlock more and more of the game. It also means that fresh players cannot play a mage, for instance. Magic is mostly staff-based, so it amounts to you becoming a shooter, and it's only unlocked later on, which means that fresh gamers coming in can't have a magician as part of their party of three. There's also a problem with the sameness of much of the game's content. As mentioned before, the four areas or themes aren't very distinct from each other, making me feel that Othergate should have perhaps capitalized on the sci-fi setup of the hub world, infusing more of that in a theme or two to give them an altogether different character from the rest of the dungeons. As it stands, however, the dungeons all feel quite samey. Couple that with the tedious horde mode levels, and the overall value of the content takes an unfortunate dip. Lastly, the single player mode lacks any real challenge. Every single time I played the game alone, I breezed through the dungeon raid levels. Too many health potions, not enough enemies, not enough difficulty. The game needs to figure out how to challenge single players, even if it's not designed around single player gameplay. Overall, Dungeons of Eternity, did I get it right this time, lays a great foundation for what could eventually grow to become a rich multiplayer experience. As it stands, it is perhaps the only game on Quest that really offers players the chance to go dungeon crawling with their friends in VR. However, the charm will soon wear off if Othergate don't build on that foundation with more exciting missions and more varied enemies. I also think a longer narrative-driven mode that takes players through several different dungeons with a more gripping narrative than Save a Fallen Drone would absolutely propel the game into a higher tier and make it much easier to recommend. For now, it's not a must-have, but will provide some value and some fun to older players who miss the Gauntlet days and don't mind the generic nature and limited scope of what's on offer. Overall, 7 out of 10. Foundational. And hey, if you like going to dangerous lands and killing undead monsters and zombies with a bow and arrow, you might well enjoy In Death Unchained. It came out a while ago, it's been getting regular updates, it's a fantastic game. We reviewed it, you'll find our review on our channel, or you could find it in the box you're seeing right now. Remember to subscribe if you want more content from us, and have a great day.